Kuzambo. Welcome to Bhutan e-learning. My name is Balbadur Paudal from Jimithanga Primary School. Today I will be presenting to you a lesson from Key Stage 2. This lesson is designed for classes 4, 5 and 6. It is an English lesson. And today's topic is a poem and its aspects. Dear learners, now I'm going to tell you a very important thing. By the end of this lesson, I want all of you to 1. Define a poem. 2. Identify the aspects of poem. 3. Identify the examples of figures of speech in any poem. And finally, you should be able to locate the presence or the absence of message in any given poem. So now let us directly get into the lesson. First, let's look at the definition. This is the definition. A poem is a collection of spoken or written words that expresses ideas or emotions in a powerfully vivid and imaginative style. It serves the purpose of a light to take the readers towards the right path. Also, sometimes it teaches them a moral lesson through sugar-coated language. A poem is composed of 1. Content or meaning, 2. Structure, 3. Figures of speech, and 4. Message. Now, dear children, dear learners, let us get into the aspects of a poem. The first one is the content, the second one is the structure, third one is figures of speech, and the fourth one is the message. Now let us get into the content or the meaning. When we look at content or the meaning, we should look at two important ideas or concepts: denotation and connotation. Let us look at denotation first. This is denotation. Denotation is generally defined as literal or dictionary meanings of a content. It is the surface or direct meaning of content. Surface or direct meaning. Now let us go to another idea, that is connotation. This is the definition. Connotation is generally defined as underlying meanings of a content. It is the associated or implied meaning of content. Let us look at this example. Nature's First Green is Gold by Robert Frost. This is a leaf, right? It is. What comes to your mind when you see this green? I can see green school. I can see green Bhutan. I can see green offices, green students. Green is associated with other smart meanings. Connotative meaning is the meaning which is inside this leaf, inside this green. Dear learners, now let us go to the second aspect of a poem. This is the one. Structure. Structure is all about the shape of the poem, the length of the poem, lines and stanzas. Let us look at one by one. Let us first look at the shape. We have two types of poem usually with regard to shape. We have shape poem and poem within the shape. What is a shape poem? It is a concrete poetry which develops the physical form of the words on paper. If someone wants to write about the leaf, the poetry can take the shape of the leaf. Look at the picture very carefully. This is the shape poem. It has a clock and the content is all about the clock. It is the shape poem. Look at another picture. It is the shape of a flower and the poem is about the flower. Now let us look at poem within shape. It is poetry whose visual appearance matches the topic of the poem. Visual appearance matches the topic of the poem. The words form shapes which illustrate the poem's subject as a picture as well as through their literal meaning. Let us look at the example of poem within shape. Look at rainbow. All the colors are shown in the poem and it is exactly in the shape of the rainbow. Another example is this one. This is poem within shape. Now let us go to another aspect within the structure of a poem. It is the length. When we talk about length, we are talking about how long the poem is or how short the poem is. Let us look at this example. It is a short poem. Usually children love short poem. This is an example of long poem. Sometimes poem can be very long. It will cover pages after pages. Now let us get into lines and stanzas. First, let us look at lines. Line is composed of words and syllables. When we talk about words, there are precise number of words, countable number of words in any line. When we talk about syllables, it is the opening and the closing of sounds. Let us look at one example for the syllable. Let us look at this. Ba, ba, black sheep. How many syllables are there? Ba, ba, black, sheep. 4 syllables. Another way of counting the syllable is ba, ba, black, sheep. 4 syllables. And there are 4 words. Let's go to the next. Now, stanza. Stanza is a set of lines in a poem grouped together and set apart from other stanzas in the poem, either by a double space or by different indentation. Poems may contain any number of stanza depending on the author's wishes and the structure in which the poet is writing. Let us look at this poem. by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. Let us count the number of stanzas. Here I can see 2 stanzas. The first stanza has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Second stanza has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So each stanza has 5 lines. Now we have just finished with content, structure. Now we are left with figures of speech and the message or message. Let us look at the figure of speech now. In this lesson, I will cover figures of speech. The first one, simile. Second, metaphor. Third, personification. Fourth, alliteration. Fifth, onomatopoeia. And the final or the sixth is the rhymes. Let us look at the first example. It is this. Simile. One more time. Simile. Let us look at simile through example. This is the example. Your face is like the moon. Your face, the moon. They are compared. His face is round, the moon's face is round. His face is bright, the moon's face is bright. Let us look at the second example. My nose is as sharp as a needle. Look at my nose very carefully. It is very sharp. My nose, a needle. A flesh and a metal. They are compared. Now let us define simile. A simile is a figure of speech and type of metaphor that compares two different things using the words like or as. Let me also tell you the purpose. The purpose of a simile is to help describe one thing by comparing it to another thing that is perhaps seemingly unrelated. Let us look at the metaphor. Metaphor and simile, they are almost similar. That's why I have the same pictures here. Your face is the moon. What is the difference here? What difference can you locate? Your face is the moon. In the previous example, there was a use of like or as. In this case, there is no as or like. Your face, the moon, is directly compared. In the previous example, there was a use of like or as. In this case, there is no as or like. Example, my nose is a needle. My nose, needle. Now let us define metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two different things without using the words like or as. And the purpose is to help describe one thing by comparing it to another thing. Now let us go to the third figure of speech. It is this, personification. Personification. I have two examples. The first one is this. Look at me very carefully and look at the flower as well. This flower kissed my nose. See, it is kissing my nose. Actually, I am doing the work. Remember, actually, I am doing the work. This flower is doing nothing. But now I am saying, this flower kissed my nose. This flower is non-human object, and it is now acting like human. It just kissed my nose. First example of personification. Let's go to the second example. Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. The sheep is non-human, but it is acting like human. It is talking. The sheep is saying, yes sir, 3 bags full. The boy is asking, have you any wool? The sheep is replying, yes sir, 3 bags full. Sheep is speaking. Let us try to define personification. This is the definition. Personification is a figure of speech in which a thing, an idea, or an animal is given human attributes. Attributes, qualities. It animates inanimate objects and gives speech, movement, and life. Now, let us go to the fourth figure of speech, and this is the example. I have a flat, furrowed forehead. Sound is repeating. Consonant sound repeating in particular. Let us look at the second example of alliteration. This is the example. My mother made many momos. Sound, it is consonant and it is repeating. Let us look at nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold, by Robert Frost. In the first line, g, g sound is repeating. In the second line, h, h, h sound is repeating. It is alliteration. Let me give you one more example. My age and ange prepared ara, which is not good for health. Sound is repeating, but it is not alliteration. It is assonance. Let us define alliteration. Alliteration is a figure of speech in which consonant sound is repeated at the beginning of words in a sentence. The fifth figure of speech. This is the one. Try telling, try speaking out. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Let me give you one example. The old car crashed and tumbled down the slope. Sound is there. Sound of accident. The old car crashed and tumbled down the slope. Let us look at the second example. Cuckoo is a beautiful bird. Name and sound of bird. Cuckoo is name. Cuckoo is sound of a bird. So, dear learners, now let us try to define onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is defined as a word which imitates the natural sounds of a thing. It creates a sound effect that mimics the thing described, making the description more expressive and interesting. Now let us go to the sixth. This is the one. Rhymes. Let us look at the first example. My father and mother are kind. They have very stable mind. Let us look at the pink color and the red color. The first one, pink color, represents internal rhyme. Second one, the red color, represents end rhymes. Let's look at what is internal rhyme. Internal rhyme uses two rhyming words within a single line of poetry. Within a single line, if there are repetitions of same sound at the end of the word, they are internal rhymes. And the words like kind and mind, they rhyme at the end of two lines. They are end rhymes. Let us define rhymes. A rhyme is a repetition of similar sounding words occurring at the end of lines in poems or songs. A rhyme is a tool utilizing repeating patterns that bring rhythm or musicality to poems. Finally, let us go to the fourth aspect of a poem. It is this one, message. Any poem will have message. So, what is message in the poem? Message is the instruction given to us by the poem, what to do and what not to do. In a poem, there will be social message, emotional message, intellectual message, environmental message, philosophical message, and spiritual message. So, it is absolutely necessary for us to look for message in any poem. We can evaluate any poem if we know the definition, the aspects, and the ways of the poem. My dear students, we have just finished with definition of a poem, the aspects of a poem, and in the aspects of the poem we have just finished content or the meaning, structure, figures of speech, and message. To conclude my lesson, I have a message for every one of you. You are a unique, one of a kind in this world. Students' life is a flower garden. So if we understand these aspects of a poem, we will be able to evaluate poem in a better way. Please wash your hands. Stay safe. You are so special to your parents, to your land, and to the people. Please don't waste time simply waiting for things to happen. You have many miles to go. You are unique, you are special. Do study hard. Thank you and Tashidele.